Now we would like to look at some calculator work with radian values. So we want to find a calculator approximation for each circular function value. Now what's important here is that you notice that our angles do not have a degree symbol. So all of these angle measures that we're asked to find the sine and cosine and secant values of are all given in what we call radians. And so we want to make sure that we use radian mode on our calculator. Really important that you switch your calculator to radian mode before we evaluate these. Our calculator doesn't know if we're talking about degrees or radians unless we tell it. So we have to put it in radian mode. So we're asking our calculator to find the sine value of this angle given in radians. So we are going to approximate, and let's round to the nearest 4 decimal places. So when I put this into my calculator in radian mode, we're going to hit sine, we're going to put our decimal values in, and I get a sine value of 0.5736 when I round to the nearest 4 decimal places. So it's exactly the same as we did before, except previously our calculator was in degree mode, and now we're switching our calculator to radian mode. Cosine of this angle given in radians. We're going to hit cosine and then negative, and then our angle value after that. And when I hit this into my calculator, I get 0.4068 rounding to the nearest 4 decimal places. So make sure that you can put those in and that those are the values that you find rounded to the nearest 4 decimal places. For part C, we're asked to find secant. And remember that we don't have a secant button on our calculator, but we do have a cosine button, which is the reciprocal. So we're going to work with the reciprocal identity. So secant of this angle is equal to 1 divided by cosine of the same angle. Once again, make sure your calculator is in radian mode, and then we will do 1 divided by the cosine value of this angle. And when I put that into my calculator, I get negative 1.0460 when I round to the nearest 4 decimal places. So make sure that that is what you get when you type that into your calculator. For example 4, we're actually asked to do the opposite. Remember that our trig function values take an angle. So for the previous example, we were given the angles and asked to find the function values. This time we're given the function values, but we're asked to find the angle. And we're asked to find the angle, the value of s, which of course means we're working in radians. So we're asked to find the radian value of the angle. So using radian mode in your calculator, we're going to do our inverse functions. So this time we're given the tangent value, and we're asked to find the angle. And since we're using s, we're talking about radians, so we're going to hit secant, and then we're going to hit our tangent button. Make sure that you have tangent inverse with a little -1 at the top. And we are going to type in our tangent value. So here we're feeding it the value, and it now will spit out our angle s. So we're going to round to the nearest 4 decimal places again. I get 0.2095. Alright, now we are asked to find the cosecant value of s. So we're asked to actually find the angle s in radians, given that the cosecant value is 1.0219. Now, we do need to use the inverse function, but we don't have cosecant inverse on our calculators. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the reciprocal of both sides. So what is the reciprocal of cosecant? Well, we know that that is sine. And we want to take the reciprocal of this, which of course just means to put it under 1. So now that we've taken the reciprocal of both sides, now we can actually find the angle value by using our sine inverse button in our calculator and feeding it the sine value of that angle. And when I put that into my calculator, I get 1.3634. Remember that we do not put a degree symbol here. We're talking about radians. So the measure that we're finding, the angle that we're finding here, we do not put a little symbol on there. Remember that when we don't put a symbol, we're assuming that we're talking about radians. So don't put a degree symbol on here. We're not talking about an angle in degrees. We're talking about angles in radians, and there's no symbol when we're talking about angles in radians.